Are sharks negatively impacted by climate change? Because of overfishing and activities such as shark finning, the number of sharks in the ocean is rapidly declining. Today, a quarter of all sharks are threatened with extinction. Without sharks, ecosystems decline in health and other species suffer. But does the changing carbon dioxide affect shark species? With my supervisor, Dr. Holly Shields, we are hoping to answer this question. A crucial part of sharks' life cycle is during the earliest developmental stages. About 40% of shark species lay eggs. This shark egg case is also known as the mermaid spurs. In the lab, we rear these shark egg cases under different climatic conditions, those from now and those predicted in the near future. We then study how climatic conditions affect growth, development, and metabolism of the shark embryos during development. To do this, we have produced our own shark embryonic developmental scale, which helps us to track the effect of climate on developmental stages. Once hatched, we then study the shark's swimming ability and their metabolic rate. By gathering information about the shark biology and their susceptibility to climate change, we could provide important data to convince governments of the importance of sharks. This could lead to new laws protecting sharks from fishing pressure, more marine protected areas could be declared, and more conservation work could be funded. We will also pass this information on to resource and fisheries managers so they can work to create the best protection for sharks. But this is just the beginning. Much more work remains to be done to fully understand the whole impacts of climate change on sharks. Together we can unite to protect the sharks. Say no to shark finning, say no to climate change. My name is Shafiq Musa. I'm a PhD student at the University of Manchester.
The best thing about studying biotechnology was the opportunity to work in a dynamic industry during my placement year. My problem-solving skills and my ability to analyse complex data allowed me to progress as a graduate management consultant for a top FTSE 100 company.
It was the passion of the lecturers in genetics that inspired me to follow my own research path and study for a PhD. I'm now researching inherited forms of cancer. And knowing that my career will make a real difference is such a big motivation.
About 5 years ago, I started a life sciences degree, which gave me the flexibility to discover what I really loved. Moving on to zoology was perfect and means today I'm a science educator teaching the next generation of conservationists. It all started with Biosciences at the University of Manchester.
Alzheimer's disease is a neurodegenerative condition where the brain cells die over time, causing memory loss and confusion. There are currently no drugs which slow or prevent Alzheimer's disease, partly because we don't fully understand what causes the brain cells to die. However, evidence is building that inflammation is a crucial contributing factor to Alzheimer's disease progression.
Inflammation is a response by your immune system. You can think of your immune system as the tools of your body, protecting you by getting rid of bugs and clearing up damaged tissue. The only problem is that some of the tools of your immune system cause collateral damage and can do more harm than good. It is these damaging tools that play a major role in the development of Alzheimer's disease. Our research wanted to test existing, safe drugs to see if we could find one which could diffuse the explosives without affecting the rest of the tools. To do this, we tested lots of drugs on cells growing in a dish and found one currently used drug called mefenamic acid inhibited the kinds of inflammation we think contribute to Alzheimer's disease. Now that we found this drug using cells, we wanted to test it in something more related to the actual disease in people.
To do this, we used mice which have genes similar to those found in rare inheritable forms of Alzheimer's disease. Just like Alzheimer's patients, these mice lose their memory over time. We took 20 mice and we gave half mefenamic acid and half placebo for 28 days. We found that where the placebo mice had very poor memory and inflammation in the brain, the mefenamic acid treated mice had perfectly normal memory and no explosives wreaking havoc in their brains. But how do we test the memory of a mouse? In our study, we utilised the fact that mice like to explore new objects. But to a mouse with poor memory, every object seems new. Imagine going to a car park and seeing a Ford Fiesta parked next to an alien spaceship. You would spend more time exploring the spaceship. But if you didn't remember what a car was, you would be equally amazed by the Ford Fiesta and spend the same time exploring both. So by timing how long a mouse spends exploring the new object compared to the one it's familiar with, we can measure whether the mouse can remember the object it has already seen.
This is promising early stage research, but before we know how effective it is in Alzheimer's patients, much more needs to be done. Research like this relies on fantastic charities like the Alzheimer's Society and Alzheimer's Research UK, so a huge thank you to them. I'm Michael Daniels.
And I'm Jack Rivers-Orty.
And we research in Dr. David Brought's lab at the University of Manchester.
Congenital heart disease, or CHD, is the most common type of birth defect, affecting up to 9 in every 1,000 babies born in the UK. Congenital means present from birth, and the term CHD covers a range of birth defects that affect the normal structure and function of the heart. Efficient heart function is essential for human life, since the heart is responsible for pumping blood to the tissues and organs of the body, to deliver oxygen and nutrients, but also to remove waste products such as carbon dioxide. For this reason, CHD can be extremely serious, and in severe cases, babies often need to undergo multiple heart surgeries to correct the heart defect. Think of the heart as a jigsaw puzzle. Each piece needs to be in the correct place for the puzzle to be complete. However, even after corrective surgery, problems still arise in the adult with time, due to pieces of the jigsaw puzzle becoming worn out so they no longer fit properly. This can cause further issues such as abnormal heart rhythm and also problems with the heart valves. In our lab, we're investigating the causes of CHD to enable better treatment and management of patients with the disease. However, in the majority of cases, the cause of CHD is not identified. This is because CHD is a very complex disease and is likely caused by a combination of both genetic and environmental factors. To find potential causes of CHD, we've sequenced the DNA of patients with known CHD and compared those sequences with a control population that doesn't have the disease. We look for variations in the DNA coding sequence, known as single nucleotide variants or mutations that are unique to patients with CHD or extremely rare in the general population. The potential disease-causing genes identified are investigated to see if their loss causes the heart to develop or function abnormally. If this is the case, we can perform more in-depth investigations to identify the specific function of the gene to see if it's involved in important cell processes such as cell signalling, cell movement, cell division or cell identity. Ultimately, we hope to identify and understand the causes of CHD, so new therapies and improved surgical interventions can be offered to patients to improve their quality of life and prognosis. My name is Dr. Donna Page, and I research congenital heart disease at the University of Manchester.
Cancer happens.
Oh, you're all very good. As soon as the music goes off, you're all really quiet. We'll just wait another 30 seconds or so in case people are going to come in. It's 11:30. I am very prompt. Okay. I like being prompt. So just the first slide, just to say, if you could check into the open day, you were sent an email, just so we know how many have attended, would be really useful for us to help plan future events. And if we hear the fire alarm going off, please do what the university staff and ambassadors tell you. We've got fire exits on either side, both at the front and at the back as well, so you can exit any door. Are we good to go then on our talk? Yes? Yes. Okay. Right, super. So welcome then to the University of Manchester. We're here to talk about biosciences and to interest you in hopefully coming here to study biosciences. So if any of you are here under false pretences and you're at the wrong degree, we'll all look away now if you want to leave. We really don't mind. There are two of us going to be delivering the talk. This is Dr. Shazier Chaudhary. She's a senior lecturer in molecular cell biology. We're going to let her sit down for a bit because she's been faffing. Yeah, she's been faffing with the presentation. My name is Dr. Ruth Grady. I am a microbiologist, and I'm here to start off the talk, and then I'll hand over to Shazier in the middle. Now, we're happy to take questions at the end, but probably the best thing to do for questions is to go over to our programme stands, which are in the Michael Smith building, which you'll be able to see on your venue plan. Because there are lots of students there who are doing the degrees at the moment, and there are admissions staff as well, and there'll be some of the programme directors. So rather than taking questions here, it'd be better if you go to the Michael Smith, and we'll be there as well to answer questions. So we'll see if this works. I haven't tested the hardware. Oh, it works. So I'm going to talk about what are biological sciences, what we mean, and what to look for in a course, because you're comparing different universities, so you might have some ideas about how it's done in different places. We're going to talk about entry requirements. Shazier is going to talk about the flexibility of courses and how you can make it tailored to the kind of things you want to do, like field courses and placements. And then very importantly, we'll end off thinking about what you can do with a degree in biological sciences. So this is our definition. It includes any study that contributes to the understanding of life processes. Now, other places will call it molecular, biomolecular sciences or biomedical or life, loads of different names, and they all encompass lots of different things. And now we actually have 15 different degree programs that you can do that falls under this umbrella of biological sciences. And some of them will have more interest for others than others. So, for instance, there may be some people here who are interested in biochemistry. Should we do a quick show of hands? Is there anybody here who's coming here thinking, yeah, I'd quite like to do biochemistry? Yeah, good subject, good solid subject. What about something like neuroscience? Yeah, quite a few people are interested in neuroscience. It's a very popular degree program at the moment. What about people who want to come and study maybe medical physiology? There's a couple there, a few there. So some of the degree programs we recruit a lot of people on, like we're talking, well over 100, nearly 200 people. Some of the degree programs, people don't do them maybe in first year, but then they can people change on to them maybe in second year. Now, if you want to look at a really nuanced difference as to why you would study one degree program rather than the other, we recommend two things. One is to look at our website. There are drop-down menus saying which units are compulsory in first year and which ones are just recommended. And that will change depending on what degree program you're in. Generally, everybody does the same thing in the first year. So in the first year, it doesn't really matter which one you come in on, as Shazier will talk to you later on. The other thing we recommend is go and talk to the students in the Michael Smith building. And they'll be able to give you more of an insight into why they chose biology, say, maybe over medical biochemistry. Now, all of these 15 choices count as one choice at the University of Manchester on your UCAS form. So if you're maybe interested in microbiology or immunology, just put one of them down, okay? Don't use up 5 choices for us, okay? When, as I'll come on to this, when we give you an offer, we'll then invite you up to an offer holder's day, and then you might want to change which flavour you actually go for. Okay. So what we need to think about is why would you want to study biological sciences? I mean, it really is interesting in its own right. We all love David Attenborough and looking at, nature programs on the telly. Biology is interesting and it's fundamental. But we're very interested in looking at sort of global big questions and challenges and things that we haven't got the answers for. So you may be drawn into the biological sciences because you're interested in understanding the world. We want to understand what's on the bottom of the ocean. We want to find new species of animals or microorganisms. And we want to think about our future in the world as well. So what about food security? Can we feed the world in the future if the population keeps on rising? And what about global climate change? What is that going to do to us living on the planet? So this may be your draw to come in to study biological sciences. It may be that you're interested more in human life and development. So you're interested in how we go from being a fertilized egg, lots and lots of cell division, and we develop into a human embryo, and then we develop post-utero into the human beings that we are. So why have we got 2 arms, 2 legs, and why does sometimes that not happen? What goes wrong in development? So lots of people are interested in those kind of questions. Of course, infectious disease and other diseases, whether inflammatory diseases, is very, very interesting as well. We know inflammation is really important in lots of diseases, not just infectious diseases. We're looking to find a cure for cancer and other diseases that affect a lot of people's lives. And we're very interested in thinking about new treatments and diagnostics. If we can diagnose people earlier using early screening, then we can give them a much better chance at recovering from this particular condition. So again, that might be your reason why you want to come into biological sciences. But one of the other things we expect of our students is we want to prepare you for those unknown problems, for those unknown diseases that we don't know about, for things that, that are thrown up because of COVID, all these clotting problems that people may have. We want to understand those big challenges, and so we want to help you have a very good grounding in all the biological sciences, because you can then play your part in future problems. And these problems and challenges may be solved by biological scientists, but they will also be in conjunction with other scientists, with engineers. Lots of these have economic and political solutions as well. So we want you to be a team player with other people too, because it's not just about the bioscience research that takes place in the lab. Now, we are a research-intensive university. We've had an excellent performance in the latest Research Excellence Assessment, which you can look on our websites if you're interested in seeing how we did. We did very well. I would recommend you browse through our research pages. Now, be warned, you might be going down a rabbit hole because there's lots of things to look at and lots of different research going on here. So I'll just highlight a few of them, and these are things that people are researching here, and of course the knock-on effect is we have the staff then who can teach our undergraduate students cutting-edge science and understanding where the science is going. So, for instance, we have a cancer research centre here. The Cancer Research Centre is a cooperation between the University of Manchester, so our school and our faculty, the Cancer Research UK charity, which is the largest cancer charity, and then the Christie Hospital, which is in South Manchester, which is an NHS foundation trust. So we've got the expertise here in Manchester. And the kind of things we want to know is right from the beginning. We understand do we understand the cell cycle? When it goes wrong and we get uncontrolled cell growth and then we get cancer, we want to understand how cells do that and why they do that. How are they responding to their environment? Can we model this using computer simulations? Can we image it using state-of-the-art equipment? And what happens when all these processes break down in cell division? So those are the kind of things that will be very useful when we find a cure, or on our way to finding a cure for cancer. Biotechnology is big business now. We are at the forefront of a bio-industrial revolution. We cannot rely on fossil fuels going in future. So is there any other way we can get our energy demands? Could these be biological in origin? Could we get it from algae or from growing bigger and better plants? We have researchers here who are looking at increasing the biomass of plants, so growing them with bigger leaves and taller stems that can withstand different weather and climate change things, so we can maximize our food production. So if you're interested in biotechnology, which is sometimes the more commercial side of bioscience, where is this going with spin-off companies, etc., this research is being done here, and we are a beacon of excellence for biotechnology. We also have the Manchester Environmental Research Institute, again, global challenges facing the planet. We have some researchers here that are very interested in fish, and especially the migratory activity of fish, because if ocean temperatures are going to warm, are they going to be able to spawn and reproduce in the same places that they did before? What is the knock-on effect of that? So we have a researcher in our school who is looking at the reproductive success of migratory fish. So very, very different kind of research. We have all of these research groups that are very interested in things like body clocks. So body clocks, or you may know the phrase circadian rhythms. We have the largest research community in body clock timing in Europe, here in Manchester. And this is how mammals track the passage of time in the organism. So how do they know when to switch on certain genes? How do they know when to give off certain hormones? And how that fluctuates through the night and through the day. Because we know body clock timing is really, really important. We know if it goes wrong, it can really affect our health in terms of obesity, in terms of cancer, and kind of cardiovascular diseases. So we have people here who are studying body clocks on the genetic level, on the DNA level, how are these passed on, what happens in the DNA, and then the effects on the body as well. We've got lots of people who are interested in growing new body parts. What happens when tissue is damaged? Can we replace it? Lots of animals can. You know, if you chop a salamander's leg off, the salamander will regrow, will get the stem cells from the body through to that bud where the limb's been chopped off, and will regenerate a new limb that works perfectly. Humans can't do that, but our stem cell centre is very interested in finding out what we can do with stem cells. So that kind of research about repairing tissue, maybe using gene therapy or tissue engineering, is an important part of research here. And all whole body conditions are being looked at. So, you know, if you're interested in eyes or the liver or the kidney or the pancreas, there will be some research group here in Manchester looking at it. If you want something a little bit different, you might be interested in looking at biology from a historical perspective. So our Chisholm Centre, so the historical study of science, technology and medicine, integrates medical humanities alongside science communication and medicine. So it's very interested in looking at the societal expectations of science. Why are we doing science the way we do? Why is it funded the way it is? How have we ended up with this system of how we perform science? How are we going to make the policies of the future? Where are the ethics behind what we're doing? And it's very much from a historical perspective to give that really broad feeling for biology in a society. So that might be something you're interested in doing here. Alzheimer's, dementia, brain network. We have the Manchester Brain Bank that collects and supplies brain tissue, human brain tissue, for researchers both in Manchester and internationally as well. So we have all the resources here if you're interested in this kind of research. And lastly, I'll finish. I could go on for ages about this, about immunology, inflammation, diseases. We all know about viruses now. You know, we're very interested, of course, in bacteria and what they do. We're very interested in parasitology and parasitic diseases. And we have a big fungal research group here as well. Because you think fungi are just nice little things we can eat, nice mushrooms. In hospitals, you know, invasive yeast and fungal infections are becoming a problem. So we have a big research group looking at that as well. So as I say, do look at our research pages. They're really interesting, loads of different research going on here. And all of that will then feed through into our teaching so we can offer really varied programmes. So I'm going to pass on to Shazier now, who's going to take us through the different degree programmes.
Thank you, Ruth. Okay, so let's talk practicalities in terms of how our courses work and how you can get here to study. So as Ruth said, we are a large research-intensive university, and our size means we can offer choice and flexibility. So we've got the capability of teaching many diverse courses. You know, we've got over 300 academic staff, like Ruth and myself, to deliver content that they are passionate about and invested in. As shown here, we take about 655 undergraduate students per year. And currently, we've got no caps on the degree programs. So, you know, that'd be quite a challenge if you all wanted to do, say, zoology in 1 year. The lecturers that teach the disciplines are experts in that field as world-leading published researchers and or teaching specialists in the Biosciences. So this is good. I'm a cell biologist, so I get to teach things that interest me. So, you know, things like how cells make organs and cell membranes. And then rather than on, say, bacteria that cause awful diseases, for that we have Ruth and her fellow microbiologists, for which we are most grateful. The degree programs all have a common first year so that you all get a solid grounding in the bioscience areas. So we think the broad training is essential, and we want to develop modern biologists who are flexible, open-minded, and can work in multidisciplinary teams. So it might be that your heart is set in neuroscience. You may want to badge yourself as neuroscientists on that program, but then you need a good working knowledge of molecular biology and pharmacology too. Now, as shown here, you know, you can switch degree disciplines, so between the 15 programs at the end of year 1 or 2. So you might change your mind, you might develop an interest that wasn't there previously. Interestingly, over a quarter of our students do change, so they change after year 1. So either, from a broad degree program like biomedical sciences to a specialized one, or the other way around. The content becomes more specialized in year 2 and 3, so you really get a chance to get to the cutting edge of the subject by the time you graduate. Okay, now, when we say you can change programs, as with most things in life, there's terms and conditions attached. So with biochemistry, medical biochemistry, as shown here, molecular biology, if you want to do these, you need to have done some chemistry in year 1. So these units will be compulsory for these programs, but options for others. We really recommend that you speak to the students in the Michael Smith building, or look at our website, as Ruth mentioned, to see the detailed variations between them. So you can see what units are compulsory and which are optional. Now, you know about the BSc Year 3 degree. We also offer a number of others. So you can study in a variety of pathways. So you can study as with modern language. So these 4-year degrees in modern language include a year spent conducting research in a research institute or university in a country where the language you're going to be studying is spoken. So we offer French, German, Italian, Spanish, Mandarin, or Japanese. You're going to need an A-level in the European languages, but language capability in Mandarin or Japanese. The placement year takes place between the 2nd year and final year, so you get to improve your language skills before returning to complete the course. So as shown here, you can also do with entrepreneurship. You might want to improve your employability, so you could take a 4-year Biosciences course with entrepreneurship, and this will include a placement year in industry. Now here, you're going to combine learning key biology units as well as studying additional units in entrepreneurship, so enterprise, business, innovation. So 2/3 of this course is biological sciences and 1/3 is entrepreneurship. And it's delivered by the Alliance Manchester Business School here, which is just down the road. You can also do with industrial experience. So you could choose to spend your 3rd year on placement with one of our partner organisations in the UK or overseas. We've got over 100 partner organisations, and last year, interestingly, over 150 of our students went on placement. We would find the placement for you, and we'll make sure that the placement provides some degree of research. I mean, the placements, they're good for work experience. They might help you clarify your career objectives, maybe give you an advantage in today's employment market. And employers like to see work experience too. Okay, so let's, this is where our placements are dotted around the world. So as you'll see, lots around Europe, North and South America, Asia too. Some are paid, some just for the experience. We've got lots in the UK, all clustered, if you can see it there. Some in Manchester, some further afield. You would apply to them and hopefully you'd get them like any position. Some of them pay. So we've got a really lovely one in Jacksonville, Florida, just by the beach. And this is at the Mayo Clinic, and they pay $26,000. So lots of money there as well. And our UK pharmaceutical companies pay between £16,000 to £20,000. Okay, so in addition to that, let's go back there. You could also do, as shown here, the integrated masters. So this is where your placement year takes place after the 3rd year. But here it's different to the industrial experience because you spend the year in the research labs in Manchester with us. You do a full year of research, and because of that, we can award you a master's level. This is really good if you're thinking of a PhD after. Now, you can switch between the 3-year BSc, the industrial experience, and the MSci at the end of year 1 and 2. But you can't switch with modern language and entrepreneurship. So if you're thinking of those, best to take them at the start and change later. Continuing all these 4-year programs is subject to academic performance whilst you're on the degree, but the entry requirements is the same as the 3-year degree, so we don't make it harder. Okay, we also have lots of popular field courses that we strongly recommend students take. There's a cost implication for most of them, but some are free and all are subsidized. So you could spend 10 days in Costa Rica looking at frogs and butterflies in the rainforest. Very nice. I've got a really popular one looking at urban diversity in the canals and streams around Manchester. Students love that. Plants and orchids in Mallorca, and animal behavior in South Africa, and a new one starting in Malaysia too. These are compulsory for zoology, if anybody's on that program, but options for life sciences and biology. So it might be a reason why you want to pick those programs. Okay, I hope that all makes sense. I'll pass you back to Ruth, who will tell you about the application process.
Okay. Okay, so the application process. So this is for 2023 entry. Of course, you know, things may change for 2024. We don't know. But at the moment, the deadline for applying this year is October the 15th. And that's for people who are applying, you know, as you know, for Oxbridge or for medicine, dentistry, veterinary science. So most of you will have a deadline of the 25th of January. At that point, we will have had over 7,000 applications. So our admissions team go through these, and we offer you a place. We're not interviewing for the 2023 entry. We'll offer you a place based on your predicted grades, based on your prior academic performance, and we'll look at your personal statement and just to see, do you look motivated for study here as demonstrated in that personal statement. So just a note about the personal statement. If you are applying for medicine or dentistry or veterinary and it's very much tailored to that kind of course, we will ask you, or we may ask you for an alternative statement. So we want you to show that you're interested in doing a bioscience subject, because they are very different if something's vocational. A lot of similarities, but you know, ultimately very different. So we will be asking for an alternative statement. Are we looking for anything particular on the statement? And the answer is no, not really. We're just looking for a bit of effort. You know, so we're looking to see, do you look motivated for the degree program? You know, tell us about any extra reading that you've done. You know, have you got any work experience? And that might be relevant to the degree program. Maybe you've got some work in a lab, or you've done some work shadowing, or it may be that you're working in Costa Coffee or Amazon, or you know, doing something else. All work experience is good. Anything that is, you know, helping you have a work ethic and being responsible and juggling that with your schoolwork as well is really interesting to read about. EPQs are great. We love it when people have done an EPQ. They won't form part of our offer officially, so we won't be dropping grades if you've done an EPQ. It's something that we could take into consideration on results day if people don't make the grade. But really, we're looking for enthusiasm, and do you feel like you know what the subject is, and do you look like you want to study here in Manchester? The offer that we're going to give, we've actually simplified it this year. We did have an A-star offer last year, but we decided that added a tier of complication that we didn't really want or didn't really need. So we've gone for a very straight offer. You're either going to get an offer of 3 A's or you're going to get an offer of 2 A's and a B. So if you're doing 2 hard or core sciences, by that we mean biology, chemistry, physics or maths, we're asking you to get 2 A's in those subjects. And then the third subject can be another science if you want to, or it could be something else. And the offer you get will be depending on what you're predicted for that third subject. So either A, or 2 A's and a B. If, however, you are taking only 1 core science and you're taking an additional soft science like psychology or geography or PE or environmental studies, actually, it doesn't say that here, we're going to give you a straight offer of 3 A's, whatever your prediction is. Okay, so hopefully we've streamlined it a bit so it's a bit more transparent as to how we're going this year. Now, all offers are subject to contextual offers as outlined on our website. So have a look at the offers there. Of course, I'm talking about A-levels here. If you're doing an access to higher education or the baccalaureate or any of the other qualifications, the equivalences have been put on our website as well on the drop-down menu. Or you can go and talk to the admissions team over in the Michael Smith building, and they'll be able to look them up for you on the iPads. We also offer a foundation year, which is a year prior to starting all the rest of our courses, if you're doing different A-levels, if you're not doing enough sciences, and you've had a change of heart during your A-level year. So come and talk to us about what we're looking for in foundation year as well. We are still looking for some decent grades in whatever subjects you are doing. Okay, so what happens is, we get your applications in from UCAS. We start getting them in from October, and they trickle in through the year, usually a big bulge around about January, and then we can, we make decisions as we go along. So you're no more or less likely to get an offer from us if you put it in early or than if you put it in late. Okay, we're going to treat them all the same, as long as you get in by the January deadline. And what we will start to do then, as we're giving out offers, we will have some offer holder days here in Manchester, and we will invite you to come up, with your parents if you want to, or with a friend. And on the day, we'll split you up from the people you've come with, and we'll give you a tour around in the buildings. We'll give you another talk with a bit more detail about what's in the courses. And you get to talk to student ambassadors, and they'll take you all around the campus and all around the bioscience buildings where you'll be. And you'll also go in the labs as well, and you'll have a couple of things to do with electrophoresis and flies and things. So we'll give you a flavour of what it's like being in the teaching labs as well. So you get another chance to come here rather than just a general open day when all sorts of people are here. So when it comes to results day, obviously, we've given out offers, and when it comes to results, we actually get the results a few days before you get them on the Thursday. We get them on the Sunday, or even on the Saturday afternoon it was this year, and we can see all the results, and we can make decisions based on if you've made the offer we've given you, then you're in. If you haven't made the offer, then if we have places free, if you've dropped by a grade or a couple of grades, we may still be able to find room for you. Now, I'm not going to lie, last year we didn't give anybody a place if they hadn't made their offer exactly. Okay, we were very, very oversubscribed, and people did incredibly well in their A-levels. So we only took people who made their offer. In previous years, prior to COVID, we've always been able to accommodate people who dropped a grade or two. We don't know what this year is going to happen. We're hoping it will be a position that if you don't get 3 A's but you drop a grade, then we can still take you. But the fact is we can't guarantee it if you don't actually make our offer. We usually have between 1,200 and 1,400 people who are holding an offer for us, and we'll find around about 700 people, including the foundation year, to come and study with us. Okay, if you've got any more questions about that or about your individual circumstances, then do come over to Michael Smith and find us, and we'll have a chat about that. So I'll just finish off then by talking about just roughly what a typical week is. It's very, very changed at university now. It used to be, you come to a lecture theatre like this, you're in a lecture theatre and somebody's talking at the front, and you spend about 10 hours a week doing that at university. Some of our lectures are now taken as pre-recorded information, and you come in and have some kind of active session in the lecture theatres. For Year 1 students, we like to have all the students coming in for the lectures. That's the state of play this year, isn't it? Yeah. So some of them may be actively giving you some information. Some of them may be doing things together in a big lecture theatre like this. So around about 10 hours a week of directed teaching where we're giving you some information. Those lectures could be 9 o'clock in the morning, or they could be 5 p.m. In the afternoon as well. So they'll be scattered throughout the week. We do practical sessions as well. Again, these are blended, so around about 5 hours a week doing practical work. That could be a couple of hours in the lab, doing hands-on laboratory work. That amount will scale up as you progress from into second year. It may be a couple of hours doing an online resource, so you get some data handling skills, and you're looking at how equipment is used and how we analyse data. We give you a gel and say, what does this mean? What's happening here? So it's a blended approach with some online resources, some in-lab, getting your hands dirty, and data handling. Very sociable are the practicals. It was really awful during COVID when we couldn't have people in very easily and everybody's masked up and socially distanced. But now, you know, we can get people in again and you get a chance to meet people in your degree programme and it's fun and they're nicer, the practicals. Myself and Shazier run some first year practicals and they're really nice part of teaching for us. You'll also be put in a tutor group in your first year. A tutor group consists of about 10 students with an academic member of staff who's in the degree discipline that you're in. So again, this might be why you might want to go for more of a, specialised degree programme, say zoology, because then your tutor will be a zoologist, or you're very interested in zoology. If you're doing biochemistry, you know, your tutor will be a biochemist. If you're coming in to do biology or biomedical sciences, your tutor could be from any of those bits of the degree programme. So you could have a plant biologist, or you could have somebody who's interested in cardiac surgery or whatever. So, you know, you might have a bit more of a potluck as to who your supervisor is, who your tutor is. And in those sessions, we tackle things like essay writing, giving presentations, discussing the bioscience, all those things you put in your personal statement about how you loved reading New Scientist and you loved doing this. We can talk about those in the tutorials. You know, rekindle your love for the subject of why you wanted to do it in the first place. And we'll think about, you know, posters and presenting science and going through those kind of skills that when you're applying for jobs, you think, yeah, I've got those skills. I've had a practice at them in a small group, and now I'm ready to do this in a bigger platform. So that's what happens in the tutorial. And then we also have PASS. PASS stands for Peer Assisted Study Support Scheme. This is run by second year and final year students. We'll put people in a PASS group, and you can meet up weekly with the PASS group, and you can talk about lecture content. So things maybe you found difficult. The second and final year students have been trained to facilitate talking about the subject and maybe signposting you to books that they found that useful or websites. So they can help out with the academic content, as well as thinking about things like getting a new a house in second year, or where's the best place to go for a curry and all that kind of thing. So lots of things we'll put you in there. So around about 20 hours of directed study where we're expecting you to do a certain thing at a certain time in the week. So we're expecting you then to put about 20 hours of your own self-study in as well. Because you don't get all your knowledge just by attending a lecture. You've got to read things and digest it and go and look at other things on the internet as well. But again, this is what we think a typical week is. Go and talk to the ambassadors over at Michael Smith, and they might give you a slightly different flavour of what they find is a real week in Manchester. We don't want to know. So let's think about careers then. So what are you going to do after you graduate with a bioscience degree? Well, our major role of training in a bioscience degree is to get people to go on to do biological science research. So as in go on to do postgraduate bioscience. So about 35% of our graduates do go on and do a master's afterwards or go on straight to do a PhD, usually straight to a PhD if they've done the MSci or they've done the industrial placement year. If you've done the 3-year degree, usually you will do a master's afterwards before going into a PhD. So you're going into research. So that's about a third of the year. About 14%, so a big chunk as well, will go straight into things, into a laboratory. So that could be working in a pharmaceutical laboratory or forensic science laboratory or hospital lab. So they're still using the bioscience study that they've had and doing something practical with it as a job. So that's like basically half the year group are using their bioscience practically. We know other people will want to go into a different kind of training. So we have 3% here shown in the red who will go on to other postgraduate studies. So that could be things like a law conversion course or do some other kind of training that may be a vocational training course. We have about 5% of people will go off and do a teaching course, whether that's as a PGCE or Teach First, so very interested in teaching. And we have about 6%, so quite a few students will go off and study medicine later, either as a 4-year graduate course or they will start a 5-year undergraduate course as well. So those of you who are parents in the room might go a bit white at that and think, oh dear, 3 years of study and then medicine on top of it. But that's an option that some people do go for as well. That list still is a huge chunk of people who go on and do something else. So go on and go to our graduate employment. So these are the big level. I've got a slide, I think, explaining who these could be. Oops. not liking it, is it? So scientific. So if you're going to go into science, so either research, clinical and technical roles straight away, go and do some conservation in the fields, go to an internship, doing that kind of thing, and then hopefully paid positions later. Education, policy, administration, sales. Quite a lot of people go off into sales or medical writing. So nowadays there's a lot of medical writing companies who need scientifically literate graduates who can take scientific stuff and make it understandable by members of the public. Or working for pharmaceutical companies, right, looking at their brochures, etc. So lots of things using the science directly. And then, of course, we have other careers where people are employed by the civil service, management consultancy, those big, working for the post office, blah, blah, blah. So all these big companies want graduates who have got lots of skills. They don't necessarily care that you're a biochemist or care that you did zoology, but they want to know that you can take a graduate job and you've got those skills because you can write well, you can do presentations, you can understand complex information. And we know that our students who are bioscientists are very attractive to these graduate employers. In fact, if you ask the graduate employers which degree programs do they prefer to recruit from, and by and large the 2 degree programs that come out top are bioscience students, bioscience graduates and historians. Because both of these are used to looking at complex information, understanding the sources where it's come from, the validity, they can write and they can communicate. So very attractive to these employers. And if you need some help getting a job, of course we have our wonderful careers service. That's worth looking at on our website. They have lots of ways to help people get a job. They can help people get a part-time job whilst you're here studying, and they can also help you after graduation. And you can contact the careers service even after you've graduated to get that kind of help. They'll look at your CV, they'll do mock interviews for you, they advertise lots of different events for our students whilst they're here. And one of the great things about being at a big university is that we have lots of alumni doing lots of weird things. So they can come back and give talks to our students to enthuse people as to why it was really good doing a degree in pharmacology, because they're now running the BBC Science documentary unit, etc. So it's really good to be part of a big university because of that. So what are our next steps then? So we're going to finish off now. As I say, we're going to move over to the Smith building. We'll take any of your questions about that you might be interested in. Do come over and talk. We recommend you do a campus tour. We've got buses going around so you can see where everything is on campus because it's quite sprawled out. Please look at our bioscience course web pages. That will tell you what units are compulsory and what you might want to change into or out of. And do look at our research website. Keep in touch with why you want to do this subject in the first place. Okay, and that's all we've got to say, so thank you very much for listening.